You're watching Ladies in the Locker Room. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your girl, it's Hattie, and you're watching Ladies in the Locker Room. Well, welcome to spring. Happy spring, everybody. I'm so excited about spring. I'm ready for the warm weather. Of course, it's not that bad in Georgia. I can't complain. I'm from New Jersey where we have real live winters. I know here in Georgia they think they have real live winters, but they do not. I'm in Georgia and it's nice, a beautiful 69 degrees today. And I'm ready. Usually we go straight from winter to summer. So, like it was 69 today, it was 80 a couple of weeks ago in March. And you know how they say, science amazes me. You know how they say March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb? Well, we had a couple of really windy days in March where I was wondering if some trees were going to fall. So, no trees fell, thankfully. All right, so here we go. We have a lot to talk about. We have March Madness basketball, and then we have March Madness football. Let's start with the March Madness in football. The March Madness in football, let me tell you, I think a lot of people are sitting on notice. Uh, First of all, we know that the Atlanta Falcons attempted to get Deshaun Watson, and he decided to go to Cleveland, which, of course, the Atlanta Falcons fans were excited about that because it's always difficult for me. I come from the state of New Jersey, and win or lose, back in my day of watching the New York Giants, Giants fans stayed committed. Win or lose, they stayed committed. Rain, sleet, hail, or snow, we would be out there watching the games, hoping for a win. To me, Falcons fans have always been fair weather fans to me. You know, when they're winning, they love them. When they're losing, they suck. And it's this person's fault and it's that person's fault. Well, of course, they've always blamed a lot on Matt Ryan, even though Matt Ryan's numbers look pretty good. But I have always stood by what I said. He's a good quarterback, but he's also had a great receiving core. When he had Tony Gonzalez, Roddy White, and Julio Jones, they helped those numbers. And then there was Calvin Ridley and a couple other guys. They helped his numbers. So he's always been consistent in that way. Where if he's had some good receivers, generally he could do pretty good. Now he's been known that they say to choke in the clutch, but I don't know. I'm not saying that. That's what the Falcons fans are saying, but we'll have to see what happens. So that was one of the crazy things. So, but then when the Atlanta Falcons went after Deshaun Watson, then Matt Ryan decided, hey, it's time for me to go. You're looking for more quarterbacks? Hey, time for me to go somewhere else and go somewhere else. And so Matt Ryan decided to get out on, and I think it was a mutual decision. I think between the Falcons and Matt Ryan, because if you're going out looking for another quarterback, you obviously you don't want me anymore, especially if you're going after someone like a Deshaun Watson. So they did let Matt go, and now Matt is going to be contributing to another team. Now here's the history of the Atlanta Falcons. This is the history. Let me just share with you. First of all, every time they let somebody go, that person goes somewhere else and do better. It just happens. I don't know what it is. A case in point, Raheem. First of all, they should have kept Raheem as the coach last year, but no, they let him be the interim coach, let him get a little taste of it, and then they let him go. But what did Raheem do? He went somewhere else and got a ring, you know, and got a ring. See what I'm saying? But and that's a coach. Even the players, they go other places and they tend to just do better. From that's just the history. For whatever reason, I don't know, but that is what has happened around here. So we'll see what happens. When you're a fan like myself, I'm a fan of the game. So when someone says, "Who's your team?" I, I can't say that I have a team anymore. Now, when I was in New Jersey, when I tell you I was a hardcore New York Giants fan, so I will always be a New York Giants fan. However, now I'm more of a fan of the game. So I love everybody all around the world. I'm hoping Kyler Murray comes back. Kyler Murray has a great season. I'm hoping Matt Ryan goes somewhere and does good. I'm hoping Cam Newton can get it together and does good. Uh, I would be happy if Michael Vick came back. You know, I always have to talk about Michael Vick. You guys know I love Michael Vick. Michael Vick can come and play flag football, and I am going to watch. Love me some Michael Vick. And I always tell people I stand by my decision. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just find a Michael Vick highlight reel. and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Moving on. All right. So, you know what? We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Let's see what's going on a break. I like to take a break. Maybe my break don't want to take a break. All right. All right, we're going to talk about what's going down in your hometown. Well, what's going on? First of all, give a shout out to Sean Moran. Hey, Sean, thanks for checking me out tonight. Sean, thanks for being a fan. I really appreciate you. Keep watching, and we'll keep talking about what's going on. And Sean shouted out Julio Jones. Yeah, Julio Jones was the man. Now, he made a point. Julio Jones has gone somewhere else, but Julio Jones has not done well yet. But I have to point out, look at also what happened. Sometimes players they don't go. It doesn't happen right away. Let's just put it that way. We're hoping that Julio has a few more good games because when he was here, he did really, really, really well. So speaking of Julio Jones, we're talking about what's going down in our hometown. The first thing we want to talk about, of course, we were talking about the Falcons and how Matt Ryan is no longer a quarterback here, and they went out and they got Mac Jones. Is it? They got a new quarterback, whoever it is. We're going to see what happens. You didn't like the one you had. Now you got another one. We're going to see what happens. I think the Falcons have got to do more than just a quarterback. I really, really do. As a matter of fact, if you watched last year, as I did, you'll see Matt Ryan got hit a lot of times. And I don't think he was standing there just getting hit. So that tells me they need to do some work on that line, too. He took a lot of hits last year. That's probably why he wanted to get traded. He was probably ready to go because I think he got more last year than he did his whole career with the Falcons. So Matt Ryan is out of there. Let's talk about Women's History Month also. But around town, I had one more thing around town. I did. You know what I wanted to tell you about? Again, Women's History Month is coming. Well, Women's History Month was in March. April is International Jazz Month. So for Women's History Month, I just wanted to shout out Becky Hammon. She has been named the new head coach of the Las Vegas Aces, and she stands to make an annual $1 million. Now, this is great for women in sports, but I also want to shout out, of course, the WNBA. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have never been to a WNBA game, if you like basketball, you'll love the WNBA. Those ladies got it going on. Those ladies are hustling. Sometimes, to me, they're a lot more physical than the guys. To me, as a woman who played basketball, that was my sport. And I was a little short point guard. I was a little Spud Webb kind of player. But the good thing about my playing is I played with the boys long before they had a team for the girls. So when they created a team for the girls, I already knew how to play. So that gave me the edge over some of the women as they were coming in. But for Women's History Month, Becky Harmon is going to go down in history. We had a couple of other women, a few other women who got some great contracts last year. And like I said, I always want to say, keep watching those WNBA players. When I tell you those girls are tall, they're dunking, they got moves, they got shots. It's not what you think. Now, a sad story, when I started playing basketball in a high school level, they didn't have basketball in my high school until I was graduating. And then they decided we're going to have basketball as I'm graduating. So they threw it over to our gym teacher who never played basketball in her life. And now she was going to teach us how to play basketball. But she never played in her life. So she comes up to practice and she's got this book. And she goes, okay, I need you to bounce it 3 times and then you pass it to her. And then you bounce it 3 times and then you pass it to her. And then you bounce it 3 times and then pass it to her and then you shoot. And I'm sitting there like, what in the world are you talking about? Bounce it 3 times and then bounce it 3 times and bounce it 3 times. She was trying to learn basketball from a book and teach us basketball. Only problem is there were a few of us, myself, and I got to shout out my girl, Robin Wilson. My best friend from grammar school and high school, Robin, and I had already been playing basketball with the boys. So we already knew how to play basketball. So Robin and I were able to get in there and just kind of master. Robin hung in there. It was my last year of high school. I didn't bother. I should have had more patience, but I didn't. I continued to go on to play for the rec department, and I had a good time doing it. What's up, Oscar Jones? Oscar says, yes, yes. Yeah, we're back. Roll Tide, Oscar Jones. We know. Roll Tide. And of course, we did. Yes, Julio is definitely Roll Tide. Now, anybody that knows anything about Roll Tide, he comes from good stock, let's just say. He comes from the University of Alabama. And he did really, really good. And yes, I did say Spud Webb because I'm only 5'2". And Spud Webb was 5'5" or something like that in the NBA, but he made a mark for himself and he did really well. So I enjoyed playing, and I love to see that. I love to see the little guys kind of maneuver their way around some of those big guys. You can't keep up with them. It's like a elephant trying to catch a mouse. You can't catch it because you ain't that fast. But anyway, yes, I did say a Spud Webb kind of a player. All right, so that's right. We're going to salute Becky Hammon and congratulate her on her for Women's History Month on her new contract. All right, so moving right along, we're talking about what's going down in our hometown. Did you know there is, let me see, where are my notes now? We have a young man here, and his dad played Andrew Jones. Andrew Jones's son is in high school, getting ready for college, and he may go in the draft. Andrew Jones' son, what did I do with him? I lost him too. Andrew Jones' son is a high school player, and they're saying that it's a good possibility that he may enter the draft. And when he goes to the draft, they're saying that he will definitely go early. He's not playing baseball, though, or just baseball. He's playing basketball and doing very well. So we're going to keep a lookout for our hometown guy, Andrew Jones's son, and we're going to see what's going to happen with him. And other news around town, of course, like I said, the Atlanta Falcons are doing their thing, but I want to say big up to our Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks are hanging on in there. The Hawks went on to beat the Brooklyn Nets the other night. Trae Young, ice cold Trae, as they call him. Trae is still doing his thing, but not by himself. I got to shout out the rest of the team. You guys are really, really holding it down. You're making Atlanta look good. You went to the playoffs last year, and this year you're still hanging on in there. So we are really, really happy about that. Keep on doing what you're doing because you're doing it. And I, like I said, ice cold Trae Young. Trae is really, really ball handling, and he's got that shot, and he does a little wiggle. He's brought it, and they had Quavo night the other night. It was Quavo's birthday, and so they had Quavo night, and he was out there to root his home team on, and that was really, really entertaining to see. We'll be right back. We're going to go for another commercial, and we'll see you in just.
Hello guys, my name is Gloria. I am an instructor at LA Fitness Atlantic Station. I teach Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and on Saturdays we hike. We go to a different location. Our classes are 5:45 at Atlantic Station. There's kickboxing, there's body work, there's power circuit, everything you can imagine, and then we hike. We hike Kennesaw, Stone Mountain, the Palisades. We go everywhere. Come out and join us. Find out what your mission is and have fun while you do it. You can find me on Facebook, Gloria Jackson, and I want you to have fun while you get fit. Come join me.
All right. So to close out what's going on around town, I've got to shout out My family in Kansas, I've got to shout out Maggie and Trent. You guys, Kansas is going to the big dance. Yes, uh, Maggie Sontag. Maggie is a huge fan of their local college basketball team, and they beat Villanova, and they are going to the big game. So I don't know about your brackets. I don't know what your brackets are looking like, but my brackets were gone a long time ago. But Maggie's been a fan of her team, the Kansas City. I almost said the Mighty Ducks, but that's not it. But I got to shout out Maggie and Trent. And yes, I know you guys had a good time yelling and screaming at that game yesterday, but that's what's going down in your hometown. Your team is going to the big dance, and that's in the Final Four. That's been her team for years, and I know that the rest of those guys out there in Kansas are pretty excited, and I'm excited for you. So we'll see what happens. So all right, so moving on. Now, April is National Jazz Month. April is National Jazz Month, and Oscar Jones said to do the wiggle again. Oscar, get your mind right. um, April is National Jazz Month, International Jazz Month. So I wanted to talk about players, professional sports players or professional athletes who are also or who turn into jazz musicians. So I have two young men that I'll be talking about tonight. One is Bernie Williams Figueroa Jr., and the other one, of course, you probably know him, Mr. Wayman Tisdale. Those two gentlemen played professional sports and then went on to have a career in jazz music. And both of them did pretty awesome. So we'll start out with Mr. Figueroa. Let's talk about him first. Well, and you don't know him by Figueroa, which what he was known by was Bernie Williams. And here we go, Mr. Bernie Williams. So Bernie Williams, a former professional baseball player and a musician, he played his entire 16-year career in the major leagues with the New York Yankees. And in 1991 through 2006, as a classically trained guitarist, Williams played and composed music with influences in jazz, classical, pop, Brazilian, and Latin sounds. Following his career with the New York Yankees, Williams studied guitar. He went back to school and he studied at the University of New York at Purchase, and in preparation for his album Moving Forward, which was released in April 2009 under the Redfern record label. The album features 14 tracks and includes some collaboratives. Tracks with other artists such as Bruce Springsteen, John Sedaka, Dave Koz. Oh, those are some big ones. And Williams was also nominated for a Latin Grammy Award for his album Moving Forward. Williams, as I said, and he was also voted on to go to the Hall of Fame, but he didn't get enough numbers, so he didn't make it to the Hall of Fame. So what the New York Yankees did, because at 2 times he missed the mark, and so now he can't be nominated again. I think that's the way they do it. So what the New York Yankees decided is they gave him a plaque in his honor, and they retired his number. And he's still around, still making music, and he'll forever be a record holder with those New York Yankees. And Mr. Figueroa or Mr. Bernie Williams, again, look him out, check out his album. It's called Moving Forward. And he may have some more right now. There he is with his guitar. And he really loved music and he studied it. He didn't just pick up and just try to play it. He went back to school, he studied it, and he became a professional at it. And we want to salute him for International Jazz Month. Now we have Mr. Wayman Tisdale. You know Wayman Tisdale, everybody knew him. Of course, he was an American professional basketball player in the NBA, and a smooth jazz bass guitarist, a 3-time All-American at the University of Oklahoma. He has he was elected to the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame in 2008. He still holds the record at Oklahoma for the most points scored by any player through the freshman and sophomore season. He won a gold medal as a member of the 1984 USA Olympic basketball team, coached by Indiana University Bobby Knight. Everybody knows about Bobby Knight. And the Indiana Pacers made Tisdale the second overall pick in 1985 in the draft. As a power forward, Tisdale averaged over 15 points and 6 rebounds per game. And in a 12-season professional career with the Indiana Pacers, Sacramento Kings, and the Phoenix Suns. His best season was in 1989-90 with the Kings, when he averaged 22.3 points and 7.5 rebounds. Wayman Tisdale, Mitch, The Rock, Richmond combined to form one of the most dynamic duos of the NBA at all time. Tisdale retired in 1987 to focus on his musical career. Today, Tisdale's jersey number 23 was retired by the University of Oklahoma in 1987 when Blake Griffin was granted permission to wear it during a career at OU 2007-2009. He sought and received Tisdale's blessings before accepting. Wayman Tisdale launched his music career with Power Forward in 1995 on a Motown label, primarily a bass player. He recorded 8 albums, released Face to Face, climbing to #1 on the Billboard Contemporary Jazz chart. He was awarded the Legacy Tribute Award by the Oklahoma Jazz Hall of Fame. In a ESPN internet chat, Tisdale said his music influences included the folk band of the 1970s, his most recent release, and the final album before his death, Rebound, was written and released after he was diagnosed with cancer. He fell in his home and messed his knee up. And during that time, they found out that he had cancer. So he ended up having to get his leg amputated, but he still, went on to continue playing, and it didn't stop him. And that's what I saw. I saw an interview with him where when he got his prosthetic leg and he was up and he was walking, and he's like, yo, I'm back standing up again. I'm back upright. Wayman Tisdale, his music and his legacy still lives on. As I said, he did pass away. Mr. Tisdale was very widely known in the jazz community. He, just like Mr. Bernie Williams, he took his music very seriously, and he studied and he played, and he would play a professional game. So, okay, now I got to go home and practice my guitar. He took it very seriously, and that was really, really, really good. So those are the 2 gentlemen we are saluting for International Jazz Month. Don't forget, April is International Jazz Month, and we celebrate them. We're going to take another commercial break, and then we'll be right back. The last commercial was about Mr. Rodney Harrell of Rodney Harrell Enterprises. He's got a 5K walk coming up. He's going to be a guest either next week or the week after to talk about his 5K. We also want to mention Mr. Bo Jackson. You know, Bo Jackson does this bike ride thing, and it's coming up. So we'll be watching Bo Jackson as well. And again, Rodney Harrell will be a guest on the show. Now, we're trying to get Bo on the show as well. Would be nice, Bo Jackson, for you to come on our show and tell us about your ride. And so you can share some more about it. It's been pretty awesome. He's been doing it a few years now to raise money for his charity. And this year he's got a few guests coming up. A few more people have joined him, and it should be really cool. So we'll keep you posted. Hopefully, if we can, Ladies in the Locker Room would love to be there to cover the event and share it with you guys. We're going to try to make that happen. And again, we want to salute all the women in sports. For last month, March, was Women's History Month. We want to salute you and and give you all a great big tribute. There are other women that I will be talking about. There's more history being made by women in sports at all times. So we want to make sure that we shout them all out. So we just won't end it with, March being Women's History Month. We'll be talking about our girls all the time. And then also, as I said, Bo Jackson and his bike ride is coming up, where he'll be doing his fundraiser, Julie Fundraiser. And Mr. Rodney Harrell is going to be a guest on Ladies in the Locker Room, hoping next Sunday night, to talk about his 5K run and Harrell Enterprises, which, as you saw, it has travel and sports and entertainment and a lot of things. So we want to shout out Mr. Rodney Harrell, and to all of our sponsors, as you saw. I also want to shout out, of course, Miss Gloria Jackson, Gloria Sunshine. That's the fitness lady. I always tell everybody, if you really want to get some work done and you really want to lose some weight and you really want to work out, Miss Gloria Jackson, she told you Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, she's at LA Fitness in Atlantic Station, and you can go there and get your workout on. And then they go hiking, Stone Mountain, Kennesaw Mountain, whatever mountain she can get them to go hike on, they go hiking at the mountains. Miss Gloria Jackson is serious about her sports, so I'm going to give her a big shout out. And also to, of course, the Crab King, and just everybody who, helps Ladies in the Locker Room. We're always looking to move forward and make it better, and we're trying to get to a couple more events and venues. Baseball season, guys, that's the last thing I'm going to talk about. So, of course, we know baseball season almost didn't happen because they were talking about striking, but they finally got that all worked out, and now they're in spring training, and it will be opening day in a couple of weeks. Did you know that? It just seems like they just won the World Series a minute ago. The Atlanta Braves won the World Series. Like I said, it feels like just a minute ago. But the World Series a national baseball is about to be back. I just feel like they just left, right? September, October, December, January. It just seems like they just left. But yes, they will be back. Baseball season is about to come up, and the Atlanta Braves will be coming back as world champions. So I'm pretty sure Atlanta is going to be all a buzz. We're going to see what's going to happen. And, every year it can go any way. We're happy that the trophy came back to Atlanta, but we're going to be rooting for those guys and watching the young guys coming up. Lastly, I want to talk about the NFL draft. The NFL draft is coming up. I saw the combine. Georgia boys are looking good. Kirby and those boys from UGA really went to the combine and showed out. Everyone expects good things from Alabama guys because they've just been getting it for so many years. Now they're taking a closer look at the UGA boys, and they're looking really, really good too. So I'm looking to see what's going to happen in the draft, and and they're making all kind of moves now. People of Tyreek Hill is, like I said, it's hard to be a fan of a team because if you really like a player and then that player's gone somewhere else, then what do? Case in point, Odell Beckham Jr. He was one of my Giants. The Giants was my squad. So I've been watching Odell since he got to the Giants. Of course, he went to Cleveland and he didn't do that well. But then he went to LA. Well, Odell is Hollywood, y'all. That was no surprise to me. It might have been a surprise to you, but it was no surprise to me. Odell is Mr. Hollywood. So he went to Hollywood and he fit right in LA. And guess what? He got a ring. We're really happy about that. We're excited about that, Odell. I need you to get well though, because I know you got hurt at the last game and you had to have surgery. Get well, and hopefully you come back with that same enthusiasm and agility, and you can come on back out there and make it happen. Again, I want to take the time to thank you guys for watching Ladies in the Locker Room, Sunday nights at 8 p.m. If you have an athlete in your family, I'd like to have them on the show. If you are a former athlete, I'd like to have you on the show. You can always reach me at ladiesinTheLockerRoom@gmail.com. Send me a message, send me a contact number, anything. I'd like to bring your family member or someone you know on the show so that we can keep sports happening. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week. And don't forget, Ladies in the Locker Room isn't a show where we're women who think we know everything about sports. We don't. We just know the men who do. So keep watching Ladies in the Locker Room, and we'll keep bringing you good sports. See you next week.